guys, how you doing? Mitchell here. So every few months or so, I take a survey of sorts. I get my top 9 for fears people have about the structured interview for a CBP or BP. And so let's go through some of them. The first one, of course, is always going to be fear of the unknown. You know, what am I walking into? Am I ready for this? Will it be personal, ethical, or tactical? And that's a good thing to be concerned about, of course, right? So first of all, it's going to be all three of the last ones. It's going to be personal. Some will be personal, ethical for sure, and tactical. You know, especially for the Border Patrol, you're going to have more tactical type questions than you would for CBP. FBI is the same way too. So you're going to have more leaning towards tactical, but the concerns to have, because the way you allay some of that fear, like what you're walking into, is through repetitive work. That means that you understand some of the questions that are going to come at you. Prepare yourself in a repetitious mode, right? It's not so much, again, the questions, it's how you're going to formulate the answer to those questions. With enough repetition, enough understanding of formularies, you can handle any question they give you. And always know it's going to be personal, ethical, and tactical. They always go that way. Not understanding the STAR method. Now, for me, the STAR method is a little bit overblown. I think it's fantastic for civilian type interviews, situation, task, action, result, but it doesn't always fit the mold for CBP or BP, because the STAR method, the way I teach it, I embed it into the answers, because you can't sit there and out loud think situation, task, action, result. It won't work that way, right? So my method is that I embed the formulary into my other formulas, so they don't even know you're doing the STAR answering format, because it's embedded. I worked on that for 5 years now. People now use it at their SIs after I coach them, and no one knows the difference. Blanket out under pressure. This is a big deal. This happens a lot with my BP people and also my FBI people. There are questions designed in BP that are really going to put the pressure on you to react, and to react correctly. Also, there are going to be questions on top of those questions to make sure you know what you're talking about. They're going to test you. This is why I say time and time again, when you go through my coaching program, you learn how to answer the first question correctly, because all of the emphasis is on getting that first question correct. And then the rest you can handle. But if you don't have faith in your first question, the first answer to that first question, you're going to have a hard time. It's just how it is, right? Because it's like any other formula. If the basis of the formula is wrong, say I teach you a formula that 2 plus 5 is going to be 15 every time, and then you try to answer 2 plus 5 is 15, you're going to get it wrong because your formulary is wrong behind the principles of that, right? It's going to be wrong because the formula is wrong. You have to understand the formula to get the answer right. And once you get the formula and get the right answer, then you stick to that answer. A lot of people have the panel intimidation. Now, the panel for CBP is usually just 2 people nowadays, right? Sometimes they're just writing, not even looking at you like this all the time. Right? And that can be intimidating because your audience isn't looking at you. The BP is more of a face shoulder staring at you the whole time, looking at you. They're not jerks or unprofessional. They're very professional, but that's what they want to give you, because that is ways they prepare you for reality, right? They're trying to give you the pressure from them even before you've spoken a word in regards to an answer. They're giving this hard face, behavior, look, feel, attitude, everything. And that can be intimidating for many people. The panel itself doesn't even seem warm to you, you know? Most of us like to be greeted warmly, and they do greet you nicely and professionally, but not warmly though, right? And so that also can intimidate people. Fear of failing and delayed hiring, yeah. A lot of my students come to me this way. They fear they're gonna fail, or they fear if they fail to be on delayed hiring. And again, 32% of my students who come to me have failed the first time on their own, and now they come to me. So they come to me already with this weight on their back, you know, geez, hope I don't fail again, you know? And it's a very valid concern too, because the fear of failing, all the work you do, see, this is why this is not like a civilian interview, because A civilian interview, if you fail that, next day go another job, no big deal, right? But CBP, BP, FBI, these are all steps you're taking to get yourself into academy, to get this professionally federal level career. And so there's a lot of pressure, right? And so sure, but the fear of failure is lessened when you're coached the right way. You feel more positive. This is why I have a 90.1% success rate, because I teach you how to pass so the fear of failing goes away, right? Because you feel confident walking into that panel, telling them what they want to hear, what they should hear, and what the right answers are, because you have been through my program again and again and again, and I over-prepare my students. Everybody knows this. I ask 4 to 5 times the question you're going to encounter during your interview. Why? Because I'm prepping you on purpose by overstimulating you on purpose. This is a big thing for FBI Secret Service. Not having some heroic story. You don't need a heroic story. Your story just has to be based on truth. FBI, you guys know, it has to be based on something you experienced that's a true story. Doesn't have to be heroic, it just has to be honest and accurate. People miss that. You think you gotta go save somebody in a flaming building or whatever. You don't have to do that. The FBI panel is looking for a truism from your past that can be then relatable, right, to them in front of you. They're not looking for perfect, they're looking for a human being who's had a human experience that will be what I would call elevated or accelerated, a higher type experience. You can easily relate to them, right? Professionally, but also what? Accurately. Not knowing how you scored. I get this a lot. Hey, Mitch, I just got done with the SI, but man, I don't know how I scored. Well, first of all, it is literally not a score, right? It's a verbiage assessment to how you answer your questions, okay? The scoring part, or it's okay to say scoring, but the scoring part you talk about is how did I do, right? And most of us, you do leave that kind of like, I'm pretty sure I did good, but that depends upon the panel, right? But you know darn well, when you go through my coaching program, you know when you leave how good you did. I hear it all the time. Man, I'm pretty sure I did good. I rocked it, or some guys say too, gosh, I did this, I think, wrong, and I didn't use your formula here, and they tell me these things, so I know, but when you're hitting all the points for all 4 or 5 questions, and you know it, that's a good feeling, right? A lot of people come to me, and they're comparing themselves to others, and that's okay. That's why you come to me, because you want to be just as good, if not better than others. So comparing yourself to others is a constant refrain that I hear, and I get it, you guys understand, We wash away all that in the coaching program, because you are then given this confidence. I mean, when I first meet you guys, what happens the first 5 minutes? I'm interviewing you, right? I hit you quick and hard, because we got to set that baseline, right? I got to see where you are first, and then we build from there. By the time you're done in my coaching program, you have the confidence, because you're mastering my techniques, my formula, you're answering like a pro, you're getting things done correctly. And that takes away a lot of that comparing, because when we're done, very few can compare to you. That's again the 90.1 success rate my people have, because they do very well. The last one is misunderstanding the role. This happens sometimes. I know people come to me and say, I want to be BP, right, Border Patrol. And so I ask them questions. They say, whoa, that doesn't sound like what I want. They really want CBP, right? Are CBP getting confused with BP, You have to understand your roles, and they are under the same umbrella, but the tasks are vastly different. Even where you're assigned at is different. What you're doing is different, it's all different. So sometimes people go in front of these panels thinking that they're going to hear questions related to CBP, but they're actually getting BP type questions. In my coaching program, I dispel all that. I make it very clear and very obvious where we're going with these questions and why we're going, because you said BP, these are BP questions. You say CBP, these are CBP questions. You say FBI, we go here. So, those are my top 9, you guys. And of course, we're all human, I got interviewed 3 years ago by one of my colleagues. I told him, give me an interview, and we just picked a career, right? Because I want to see how I would do, The biggest one that got me was the fear of the unknown. I wasn't sure what I was going into. I wasn't sure what I was walking into, you know? It was for aircraft mechanic, that's what it was for. And so I didn't know what I was walking into. I had no prep, had no ideas, because I wanted to go through that so I could experience what my students feel the first time they meet me. And that's why I do the interview first, because I can see where you guys are in this process. Yes, I know you want the badge, I get that. I know you want to serve your country, but there's a process to get you there to that point. So I myself had to experience that as well. All these things just help me make this coalition of winners. I've got people today, 74 people who wear the badge because they've been through my program, right? And right now, my calendar is 78% filled with people going through. I'm working all the time. Today, I've done 6 interviews already, coaching. I got 2 more coaching to go today. It's 8 total I'm gonna have for the day. I do a lot of coaching, and I love it. So I wanna help you. If you're serious about CBP or BP, FBI, SS, click the link, join up, get into my calendar, let's rock it, okay? I don't want you guys to have any of these 9 fears I listed because they are real, all right? You guys take care, have a good day, bye-bye.